All right, now the back to school season is here. It's a great time to start establishing healthy boundaries with your kids and teenagers about screen time. So joining us with some tips is Jonathan Platt, Associate Professor at the University of Iowa College of Public Health. Jonathan, thank you so much for being back here with us today. I want to start with a question that might seem a little silly, but is there a magic number for how much screen time is too much?
Yeah, it's great to be with you again, Shelby. I like to think about it, and what I recommend to people is not necessarily that there's a magic number, but it's more about what and when you're using screens and social media in particular. With young people, of course, use that impedes on their sleep, that when they're using it at night into the hours when they should be sleeping, of course, is going to be more harmful. Using social media during the school day, of course, impedes on their learning and all of the things that they should be doing while they're at school, and even use that maybe disrupts from the extracurricular activities and other things that they're doing. So the time of day matters. Also, what they're doing when they're using social media. Are they corresponding with their friends? Are they communicating with people they know? Or are they, doom scrolling or, having interactions with strangers or other people? That type of use may be more harmful as well.
Hmm. These can be some pretty tough conversations, though, especially if you have older teenagers. So what are your tips you got for some ways to set some of these healthy boundaries together?
Yeah, I think it's a good, as you said, it's a good time, an opportunity to reestablish some boundaries. Routines are changing with the back to school season. Sleep is probably already being a little bit constricted. Those are changing. Young people might be getting busier again. So I think it's a good opportunity to just say, okay, well, this is what your schedule looks like during the week. Let's talk about when it makes sense to be able to use your phones and have time to yourself on social media. Um, it always works better when everyone in the home can sort of commit to the same kind of rules. Around maybe everyone puts their phone on a shelf or in a box while they eat dinner, so that they can all be present and not be distracted by their phones while they eat and spend time together. And again, setting boundaries around what time of night the phone goes off, so that young people can start to wind down and get a good night's sleep. Those conversations are really hard, but I think, if adults can kind of leverage a lot of the changes that are happening already around the back to school season, they can be a little bit easier having those conversations together.
Yeah, I like that, to kind of mirror whatever you're asking of your child, to also do it yourself and set that good example.
Yeah.
And you have said social media isn't all risk. What do you mean by that, especially in terms of teenagers?
Yeah, yeah. What we found, there's not a lot of research that's really looked at specific aspects of social media use that may be particularly harmful or particularly beneficial, for that matter. But we've done a little bit of research and found, when people are using social media to communicate with friends, to share their ideas, share their art, share their love of music, things like that, to really kind of affirm their self-identity, if you will, that can be beneficial. Social media, in its original design, social media was meant to connect us in ways that were meaningful. Maybe kids who are more isolated, feeling more isolated in our rural communities in Iowa, might have a way to connect with other people, really potentially around the world. So there are potential benefits there, just provided that everyone in the family and the parents are sort of keeping an eye on things, how it's being used.
Then really quickly, what are some signs or some red flags to watch for if something is becoming concerning?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell parents, you know your kid better than anyone else. It's not necessarily these signs. It's most concerning, I think, when your kid their behavior changes, when their mood changes. Maybe they're a pretty quiet kid, so you wouldn't necessarily worry if they continue to be quiet. But signs of being withdrawn, but also signs of being more excitable. Changes around eating more, too much or too less, those kinds of things. Irritability is a big symptom of anxiety and depression problems in young people that sometimes gets overlooked, because it's less common among adults. So those kinds of things, I would just say, again, your kid, and just be aware of behavior changes, and then use that as a way to kind of probe further.
Jonathan, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
If you guys at home want to share this story and Jonathan's tips, we have our online version up at WQAD.com underneath the As Seen on TV tab.